ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We saw yesterday two kinds of people discussed by Bhagavan. What is the first kind? The one of useless desires, useless actions to gain those useless desires, useless knowledge, and completely distracted, vichetasaha, without any viveka, and who are in the place of Rakshasi Buddhi, Rakshasi Asuri Prakriti. They take the worst of the Prakriti, namely what? Rajas and Tamas, and they embody that. Why? Because they do not have enough viveka to give up the tendency of catch, kill, eat that we discussed earlier. Catch, kill, eat, catch, kill, conquer. This kind of a buddhi they cannot give up. So we saw that is one kind of person, one kind of people, and the other kind are called the Mahatmanaha, the great ones, the wise ones. Who are these wise ones? Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. They have taken recourse to my godly nature. Why? Because they are Sattva Guna Pradhanaha. They have taken recourse to my godly nature, meaning they have done everything they can to cultivate the godly nature in themselves. So, in the sense of what are the godly natures, sattvic nature? Compassionate, accommodating, calm, all these things they have managed to cultivate. And what do? Bhajanti ananya manasaha, we saw that. They worship me with a view to knowing themselves as me, as them. So they worship me ananya manasaha from a non-dual standpoint, because duality is the cause of division, and so they worship me ananya bhakti. Ananya bhakti means I know that you are the truth of me, I can't yet see that, and so I worship this from the place of oneness. If you can see that also, you can worship from a place of oneness. If you can't see that also, you can pray to be shown that, and still worship from a place of Shraddha that all this is indeed one. And they see me as the cause of the universe. This we have seen. And then further, there are these people are talked about in greater detail. Satatam, 14th verse. Satatam kirtayanto maam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha maam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Yeah. So, then the same people are described again. Satatam kirtayantaha maam. Kirtayantaha, present continuous. All the time they are praising my glory. What do they get out of praising Bhagavan's glory? Their own limitations they are able to overcome. How? Because when I praise Bhagavan's glory, my glory is also included in Bhagavan's glory. Even though I cannot see my glory, in that worshipping of the glory, what happens? All my shortcomings are swallowed up. It's like immersing into a lake. There is a oneness with the water, and then there is no more the sense of struggling, there is no more a sense of identity. I am one with the water. As the water moves, one can move. And so, like this, when the limitless is invoked, by who? The one who feels I am limited, then that limitless being the truth of the one who feels I am limited, what is that? That limitless alone prevails, and the limited becomes included in the limitless. In fact, it is submerged in the limitless. All that is there is limitless. The limited is swallowed up. So here, Satatam kirtayantaha maam. So my glories they keep recounting. Yatantascha dridhavrataha. Here these are either sannyasis or very advanced karma yogis. So in verse number 13, generally the Mahatmas were described, and in verse number 14 specifically. Who are they? Yatantascha dridhavrataha. They have taken vow of so many religious austerities, disciplines, etc. And the word yatantaha, Adi Shankara says in the Bhashya for this particular portion, it is yati. Who is yati? Bigfoot. No, yati. Yati is sannyasi. The sannyasi is talked about here. Yatantascha maam bhaktya. The sannyasi has shraddha and bhakti. Nitya yuktaha upasate. Nitya yuktaha means always stable, of a stable and steady mind. Those are the jnanis here, the sannyasis that are described. Usually everybody's mind unsteady in the morning, somehow composed in the afternoon, reactive in the evening, tamasic by night. And so, and then rinse, repeat. Same thing happens in the next day also. The mind keeps varying, and based on the moods, one's behavior also keeps varying. But here, nitya yuktaha means those people who are together. And once Swamiji, Pujya Swamiji was asked the definition of what is this together? What do you mean by they are together? And Swamiji said they don't have to be carried out of the room in buckets, meaning they don't have a meltdown. Every time something goes against their wishes, they don't have a meltdown. They have inner maturity. They have freedom from ragadveshas. They don't succumb. It's not that they don't have ragadveshas. Ragadveshas may be there, but they don't succumb to it repeatedly. Just because something doesn't go their way, they don't have a meltdown. And so, like this, satatam mam upasate, and then who are these people? Nitya yuktaha. Always together. And then bhaktya nitya yuktaha upasate namasyantascha. Namasyantaha means surrendered to me. Because for the sannyasi there is nothing other than Bhagavan. And this Bhagavan is to be known as the truth of oneself. So the surrender is complete in the sense that the sannyasi does not look to see what will I do in order to do this. How will my future be? Will I be out on the street in a cardboard box? Will I have a house to stay? How much money is enough money for retirement? And what other things we have? Then how, where will I stay? Who will look after me in the old age? And then, this is what generally people are preoccupied with. Who will look after me in my old age? This is the reason many people have children also. Seen as the ticket to later on, look, I cared for you, didn't I? And then now what you should do? You should care for me in my old age. And the offspring says, when does the old age start? Right now. Right now the old age starts. Take care of me. So, generally these are the expectations, but not for a sannyasi. In fact, everybody should grow to be a sannyasi in the tradition. That is everybody's destiny. So here, the sannyasi has no care in the world. These kinds of cares do not even cross the head. Neither do they make them cross. So they don't cross the head also, they don't even think about these things. Where is the future? The future, let us see first, let us be alive first, let's see if the future is there. And if there is no future really, because by the time the future comes, what is it? Present. It is the present. The present is called future in relation to some time, that's all. It is the present. And right now, are you full? Yes, happily full. And then, right now, do you have everything you need? Yes. Right now, are you happy? Yes. And that's it. What more is needed? And then you can ask yourself the same question, what about now? What about now? What about now? And then another 20 years would have passed, asking that question and being in the present. So the sannyasi has nary a care for the future. What future? There is no future. And the future is just now, right here, right now. And so, therefore, that is what is meant by namasyantaha. Namasyantaha means forever surrendered. They know there is an order. If I am supposed to be alive, food will come. They know that. If I am supposed to be alive, things to eat will be there. And whatever I need will come. If it doesn't come, let's see what happens, and maybe it will come a little later. And if it doesn't come at all, namo namaha, finished. There is no striving to manufacture the daily life. Therefore, yatantaha, their work, yatantaha means those who are toiling, those who are striving. They are not striving to make ends meet. They are not striving to secure themselves a future. What are they striving? They are striving to let go of anxiety for the future. That is where the striving is. They are striving in the sense of letting go of the anxiety for the future. They are not worried about the future. Why? Namasyantaha. There is one fabulous panchaka called Yati Panchakam, a quintet dedicated to sannyasis of old, ancient sannyasis. They have, what is that? They have a wonderful house. Oh, really? Where is it? Do they have an ashram? Well, you can call it that. Where is it? At the foot of a tree. See, if the tree is your house, then there are many, many advantages. What is the advantage? You can leave it anytime you want. You don't have to worry about it losing its resale value. You don't have to put it up on the market and then buy another tree, another tree. You can leave it exactly where it is and then go under some other tree, no problem at all. Like a bird you are. When the bird builds a nest, sometimes very elaborate nest, there is, what is that bird called? Weaver bird. It's a 3-bedroom nest, really. And the nursery, the baby's bedroom is lined with the softest things imaginable. It brings from somewhere and chews it up and then puts it all, lines it, makes it soft for the babies. And after putting so much work, it just flies away. Time to fly south. It doesn't put an ad, Airbnb, or city view on one side, tree view on the other, 3-bedroom, wonderful, ready-made, brand new nursery. And you can have it. And neither does it do that, nor does it when it comes back the next season, in 6 months or 4 months, it flies for 2 months and then stays there for 2 months and then comes back. It doesn't say, where, let's see who took my nest, I'm going to beat them up. This is my nest. No, it will just simply pick the twigs up and build again. This is how the yati is. Moolam taroho kevalam ashrayantaha. Kevalam means the only ashraya is underneath a tree. What about food? The sannyasi has fine china. Really? Bone china. Wow. Where is it? Very compact. Panidvaye bhoktum amantrayantaha. The fork and the plate come together. This is the fork. If you want a spoon, you hold it together like that. Then it becomes a spoon. One is the plate. Two. This is wonderful, fine china. And this is what it is. Wash, wipe, eat. Wash, wipe, keep. Put it away. Simple. You don't have to carry anything at all. You have your hands and you can eat them. Not the hands, you can eat with them. And like this, there is a Kaupina Panchakam. Kaupinavantaha khalu bhagyavantaha. The owner of a loin cloth is what? The luckiest of us all. Then I was teaching that here only, in Arsha Vidya, long time back, and then somebody had a satsang question. So if I go buy a loin cloth, will I be like the sannyasis? I said, absolutely not. Why? Because the word kevala you have ignored. Kevala means only loin cloth. The owner only of the loin cloth, not that you have 10, 15 suits in your cupboard and then you also go and buy a loin cloth and say, I am a sannyasi. No, only loin cloth, there is nothing else. 2, 3 sets will be there, that's all it is. And so, namasyantaha, surrendered to the universe, surrendered to Prakriti, surrendered to Purusha, surrendered to their own prarabdha. Adi Shankara talks about it in the Sadhana Panchakam. Prarabdhaya samarpita vapuhu. So the vapuhu, the body, is surrendered to prarabdha. What is prarabdha? Bhagavan in the form of karma that is to be exhausted in this life. And so, prarabdhaya samarpita vapuhu. They are not making any changes to their life. They are not trying to make it more comfortable, less difficult. No, it is how it is. Whatever comes has to be endured if it cannot be cured. This is the idea. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayuktaha upasate. Then the Vedantins are talked about in verse number 15. Let us see. Jnana yajnena chapyanye yajanto mam upasate ekatvena prithaktvena bahudha vishvato mukham. Api anye yajantah mam upasante. How? Jnana yajnena. Through the study which is for them like a fire ritual, yajna. Jnana yajnena cha api anye. Anye means others. What do? Jnana yajnena, with the help of the study of Vedanta, the teaching of Vedanta, exposing themselves to the teaching of Vedanta, that itself for them is the highest form of worship. They don't need to go to temples, they don't need to go to any other thing. And for them, the highest form of, they don't need to sit in front of the altar all day long. The highest form of worship for them is what? Is to be able to study. That study to dismiss the, what is it called? Ajnanam is the best form of surrender to Bhagavan. So, jnana yajnena api anye. Cha means furthermore, jnana yajnena, with the help of this ritual called jnana yajna. What is jnana yajna? In yajna there is a lot of, it's a fire sacrifice. Many things are put, and then you have to sacrifice a lot of things. You have to sacrifice time, you have to buy a lot of dravyas, materials, etc., etc. So here also in Jnana Yajna there is a lot of sacrifice. You have to leave home. You have to not worry about what is happening there. You have to not think about your boss. That's easy. But still, you have to practice that. And then you have to not worry what is happening, what will people think if I go away for a retreat. They will think something is wrong with me. All these things you have to let go of. So Jnana Yajna also there is a lot of sacrifice, and all the ragadveshas that you could have pursued during the time of the Jnana Yajna, meaning the retreat, all that is suspended. So many movies not seen, so many places unvisited, so many restaurants who are begging for your tongue to come and make a visit, and nothing is happening. So this Jnana Yajna is very important because it has taken care of a lot of ragadveshas, it has taken care of a lot of pains and everything, because you have sacrificed in order to do that. So certain other people sacrifice in this way. For them, the teaching itself is the greatest form of worship. Yajante mam upasate. So this yajanam, this prayer is basically study of the words of the Upanishad. And then what is the result of that is given in the next line. So they see me as no one else sees me. Because the Mahatmas described earlier, they see Bhagavan as in the form of their Ishta Devata, in the form of Rama, Krishna, Vishnu, Mahavishnu, all these things. And then these people, the Jnana Yajna people, are able to see Bhagavan in the form of the universe. They have Ishwarized the universe and they see Bhagavan everywhere. Whoever they see is what? Bhagavan. This Bhagavan alone they see. Where do they see? All over the place. Wherever the eyes fall, there itself becomes a samadhi. Yatra yatra mano yati, tatra tatra samadhayaha. So wherever the mind goes, it becomes a resolution there. Subject-object resolution takes place wherever the mind goes. And then so here, these are the Jnana Yajna people, and Yajanto Mam Upasate, and they see me as Ekatvena Prithaktvena Cha. They see me as one with the universe. This is what is called Ishvarization. Successfully they have, with the bala of Vedanta Shastra. Bala means what? With the force, with the blessing of Vedanta Shastra and the blessing of the Guru, they have been able to see the universe as Ishvara. Ishvarize the universe. So they have seen, they have looked at that, and then what? They see me as Prithaktvena, Ekatvena. I am one with the universe, that is not lost upon them. And then Prithaktvena also they see me. What is Prithaktvena? Prithaktvena means not separate. Here they say not as part of the Jagat. Very beautiful teaching here. Not at all as part of the Jagat. What is part of the Jagat? Part of the Jagat means Bhagavan has become the Jagat. Is that the reality? Not at all. Bhagavan cannot become the Jagat. Bhagavan has not become the Jagat. But then, what is the reality here? Bhagavan has lent. Satta Spurti Pradhanena has lent the existence and the sentience for everything in the Jagat to have an existence and to be sentient. Bhagavan does not become the Jagat. That's why Bhagavan, the name for Bhagavan is Vibhu. Vibhu, Vibhuhu. Vividham Bhavati Vibhuhu. Another name Virat. Vividham Rajate. Shines variously. Vividham Bhavati Vibhuhu. Vividham Bhavati means shines in many, many forms. Vibhuhu. And what is this shines in many, many forms? Appears in many forms, but is really one. And really this appearance, the projection of the Jagat, is such that Bhagavan did not become the Jagat at the end of the story. 14 billion years ago, they say, this Jagat started, and then Bhagavan has now gone. Why? Because Bhagavan became very slim, giving of himself to the Jagat, and then Bhagavan disappeared. Not at all. So, Ekatvena, as non-separate from the Jagat, then Prithaktvena, as that which is Vivarta Karana for the Jagat. Not Parinami Karana. Two kinds of causes are discussed. One type of cause is Parinami Karanam. Parinami Karanam means like an irreversible change, where that the cause becomes the effect, becomes within quotes, is turned into the effect. Like even milk, with which you take and some starter and then make homemade yogurt. You keep it in a warm place for a few hours, and then you open the lid of the container. What do you see? Yogurt. Then if you say, oh, I want to have some coffee, where is my milk? It's not going to turn back into milk at all. This is what is called Parinami Karanam. Parinami means the cause has become the effect. Parinami Karanam. This is what Maya is. Maya is Parinami Upadana Karanam. Parinami Upadana Karanam means a material cause that has become the raw material. And then what is Bhagavan? Vivarta upadhana karanam vividham vartate. Without undergoing any change, lends its rupa, its swarupa to everything that there is. Swaswarupa aparityagena rupantarapattihi. Rupantarapattihi means taking on a form. Taking on another form, swaswarupa aparityagena, without giving up one's nature, takes on many, many forms. This is Bhagavan, Nimitta Karana, and then Vivarta Karana, whereas Maya Shakti is what? Parinami Karana. Swaswarupa Parityagena Rupantarapattihi. The raw material undergoes a change, gives up its nature in order to become the Jagat. Many things in the Jagat are like that. Two things combine and then change irrevocably. So here, the Jnana Yogi worships me in the form of the pursuit of knowledge. Pursuit doesn't mean always being a student, could mean writing, reading, teaching, being marinated in the knowledge, that is what counts. The Jnana Yogi does that, and then what does the Jnana Yogi do? Is able to see me separate from the Jagat, not become one with the Jagat, but also see me as one and the same as the Jagat. See the Jagat as myself alone, sees me as separate from the Jagat. This is the Jnana Yogi, and they also worship in their own way. And then the next 3 verses, 3 or maybe even 4. Yeah, the next 4 verses are interesting because here the theme that is going to be started is going to be carried over into the chapter 10. Chapter 10 is called Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti Yoga means a recalling of the glories of Bhagavan. Vibhuti Yoga. So this is a little appetizer for Vibhuti Yoga. And why does it come here? Because it was said, Ekatvena Prithaktvena Yajante Upasate. Ekatvena Prithaktvena means what? Seeing me as the truth of the whole universe, and then seeing me as not having become the universe. So this is what is there, and then examples of how that is given in the next verse. Let us see. Aham kraturaham yajnaha swadhahamaham aushadham mantrohamahame ahamagneraham hutam pitahamasya jagatah Mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram onkaraha Riksamayajureva Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi Nivasasharanam suhrit Prabhavas pralayasthanam Nidhanam bijam avyayam Tapamyahamaham varsham Nigrinhamutsrijami cha Amritam chaiva mrityuscha Sadasachaham Arjuna. These 4 verses illustrate, give a little taste of not only the glories of Bhagavan, but how the Jnani sees the Bhagavan. How somebody who is into Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yajna, the one who is pursuing the teaching, how do they look upon Bhagavan is given in Bhagavan's own words. And then the first one is typical, and we have already seen it in the 4th chapter. And in fact, it is chanted before meals. What do we chant before meals? Yeah, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam. So the answer to every question I will ask is what? Brahman. Okay, yeah. Since you know the answer, don't disappoint me. So, what is the yajna? Brahman. Who is doing the yajna? Brahman. Where is the yajna being lit? Brahman. In the yajna kunda called Brahman. And then, what is the fire? Brahman. What is the offering that is put in the fire? Brahman. And for whose sake the offering is being made? To know Brahman. So this is what we chant, because we are about to put some offerings in our stomach. So that's why we chant this, so that we can look at it as from the spirit of what is in the Taittiriya Upanishad is said. Ahamannam 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 ahamannado hamannado hamannadah. And so the Jnani breaks into song spontaneously, runs around slightly mad, and then says what? I am the food, I am the food, I am the food. That means what? Somebody can eat you up. No, it's like there is no subject-object distinction. And then the person sings, the person of wisdom, the person of knowledge sings, Aham annadaha. I am not only the food, I am the eater of the food. Annam atti iti annadaha. So, I am the eater of the food, I am the eater of the food, I am the food, I am the eater of the food. It's all me. The subject-object distinction is completely eroded in the wake of which knowledge. That is what is called Jnana Yajna. And then seeing this Bhagavan through the eyes of the Jnanis, this is what we get in Bhagavan's own words. Aham kratuhu. Kratuhu means kamya karma, a ritual. Aham kratuhu. And then I am the celebration. Kratu also means celebration. I am the celebration. Aham yajnaha. I am the yajna. Swadha aham. Swadha is the offering made to, what are they called? Ancestors. Ancestral offering, the mains, the ancestors. So we don't do anything without getting the blessings of the ancestors. Whether it's a thread ceremony, whether it's a what is it called, naming ceremony, whether it's an engagement ceremony, whether it's a marriage, you always have one particular ritual dedicated to invoking and propitiating the ancestors, because of whom we can enjoy this ceremony, because of whom we are making great strides. We thank them for giving us these bodies, and we invoke their blessings. So this doesn't apply if the ancestor was Al Capone or some other or a serial killer or some other murderer and all that. We are talking of sattvic, dharmic ancestors. So they may not have had big lives, they may have just raised a family and done whatever they could and then passed away. That's enough for us. That means they are dharmic. They are not, they were not notorious. They may not have been famous. We don't need that. But they must not be notorious. And so as long as they are not notorious, we don't invoke any single person. We invoke them in a bunch. All of them are invoked, and through the brahmanas they are invoked, or through the crows they are invoked, and then the crows are fed, the brahmanas are fed, until they say triptoham, I am totally. Of course the crow will not say that, but the crow will fly away. Then that's how we know that they have had their fill. And so like this, feeding the brahmanas, and then Swadha. Swadha is the offering that is made in the yajna for the Pitrus, for the well-being of the Pitrus, because wherever they are, we don't know if they have been incarnated or not. So we don't know that. Or they may be enjoying themselves in Pitraloka, a kind of heaven for ancestors. They're all hanging out together. It's kind of a comforting thought. Okay? And so maybe they are over there, we don't know, but we are 3 generations we give offerings, 3 generations up. Beyond that we don't even know their names. So the immediate parents, their parents, meaning grandparents and great-grandparents. So 3 generations one gives offerings. And then, so like this, Swadha Aham. What is this offering? Me alone. I am this offering. There is nothing other than me alone. I am this offering. Swadha Aham. And then Aham Aushadham. Swadha means the food for the ancestors I am. And then in general all the food. Aushadham is plant. Aushadhi is plant. So Aham Aushadham. I am the food for humanity. So whenever we are eating Bhagavan. But thankfully who is eating? Bhagavan. Brahman is eating Brahman. So mantraha aham. And in the ritual, whatever mantra is chanted, who am I? Bhagavan. I am that alone. I am the mantra. Ajyam. Ajyam means ghee. Actually it's not exactly ghee. It is butter that is melted in the rays of the baby sun. In the baby sun rays, the melted butter is used. But here we don't have the patience to do that. And in the northern hemisphere, that means for 9 months you cannot do yajna at all. Because baby sun is not there. And so we just have, somehow it has changed into ghee. Ajyam. So, ahameva ajyam. Who is the ghee? I am the ghee. And then aham agnihi. Aham agnihi. I am the fire. I am the ghee. I am the fire. Aham hutam. I am the offering that goes into the fire. So this is all Bhagavan, and it is all, the whole universe is nothing but Bhagavan. This is going to be told in the succeeding verses also. Pitahamasya jagataha. I am the father of the entire Jagat. Father of the entire Jagat. What about mother? Mata. I am the mother and the father of the whole Jagat. Now if the Lord Krishna had stopped there, a question would have come. What is the question? Who is your mother and father? We can ask Bhagavan. Because every mother and father that we know has a mother and father, correct? Has or had a mother and father. So we can ask Bhagavan. Doesn't matter. Tell, who is your mother and father? And so let that not be the case to say, to ensure that it says, Pitamaha, I am the grandparent of the universe too. I am not just the parent. Who is the parent of the parent? Me, apparently. And I am the one who is everywhere. I am the one who is the Dhata, Mata, Pita, Pitamaha. I am the grandfather of the universe. I am the father, I am the mother, I am the grandmother. Any more, and who is the grandmother of the grandmother? That too would be me alone. So this is Bhagavan as everybody and everything of the Jagat, as the source of the Jagat. And then Aham Vedyam. Vedyam means in this whole universe there's only one thing and one thing alone worth knowing. What is that? Me. Me means who? Ishvara, Bhagavan. Bhagavan alone is worth knowing as who? As myself. As non-separate from oneself. This Bhagavan alone is worth knowing. Nothing else matters. Nothing else is important. Vedyam aham. And then what else am I? Pavitram Omkaraha aham. So this Omkara, which is free which is pure, free of name and form, free of all kinds of afflictions, sorrow, etc. This very sacred Omkara, Pavitra means here sacred. This sacred Omkara, who is the sacred Omkara? Me alone. I am in the form of Om, which is your true home. This is what it is. So, I am that Omkara, I am that object of worship, I am the truth of the worshipper also. And then not only that, I am the three Vedas, Rik, Sama and Yajuhu. How many Vedas are there? Yeah. Why? What is left out in this one? Atharva is left out. Why is Atharva being given stepmotherly treatment? Why? Because it has a lot of spells. And some spells may be harmless. I want rain. Okay, fine. Do this ritual. Harmless. Somebody else may not want rain. They may curse you a little bit, but they get over it. It's not a big deal. But that's not where it stops. It has all other kinds of spells where the other person's, what is that called, the other person's harm at the cost of the other person, I should get ahead. These spells are also there. Why does the Veda, Atharva Veda have these spells? Because it comes under the gamut of human desires. And the Veda doesn't want you to go awry, somewhere astray. And so it says, all right, come right here and get this addiction out of you. But then for each time you do a spell, plotting somebody else's demotion at the cost of your own promotion and making somebody else suffer so that you can enjoy. And the same Atharva Veda will also say that the consequences are to be reaped by you. You cannot say the Veda made me do it. Veda doesn't make you do it. So therefore, the Atharva Veda is not mentioned generally. It has some wonderful Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, many wonderful Upanishads. But the first portion of the Veda is full of incantations and spells for making life more comfortable and cutting out the competition. All these things are there. That's why it is not mentioned. And then, Pitahamasya Jagataha Mata Dhata Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkaraha Riksama Yajurevacha. I am all the three Vedas. In fact, not only did they originate from me, I am the Veda itself. And then Gatihi Aham. Gatihi means I am everybody's destination. Most people don't know it, that's why they are lost. Because they keep going in circles. They keep going, they keep taking wrong turns, even though it says dead end, they say never mind, I'll still go there. Maybe there will be a way out. No, they have put a notice here saying dead end because there is no outlet, there is no way out. I want to go see. And then what? Fall into a ditch there. Then pick oneself up, dust oneself off as though nothing happened, and then look for the next turning. Where, what does it say? Dead end. No, it won't be like the other one. This one, I promise, will be different. Let me go and see it. Doesn't work that way. But this is how all the jivas are lost. But even they don't know that I am their gati. Gati means I am their destiny. In fact, the word Narayana means Narasya Ayanam. The destination of every human being. Nara means human being. Ayanam, destiny. I am the destiny of everyone. I am Gatihi. Bharta. Bharta means I nurture everyone. through Aushadhi and all these things. I nurture everyone. Prabhuhu. Prakarshena bhavati iti Prabhuhu. The one that is not created at all is called Prabhu. Even though the creator of everything, but himself, herself, uncreated, is called Prabhu. Sakshi. The witness of the creation, the witness of all the jivas. Oh, you mean whatever I do, Bhagavan is looking? Yes. So like this, there was in a, what is that? I read a nice joke. There was in a convent school. They had children were being taken on a tour to the convent school. And so they all went. They were all told to stand in line and then go to the chapel. And then they were told, and then it said, there was a basket of apples. And there was a note, take only one. Why? God is watching. This was at the entrance. There everybody, all the children, fingers on their lips, very orderly, took one apple, and the other side they had to come out. The other side was a big plate of cookies. And there a child had scrawled, take as many as you like because God is busy watching the apples. So Sakshi doesn't mean God is watching everything that you do. It's not like that. Sakshi means the witness of the creation. The one who can effortlessly witness the creation without becoming entangled in it. That is Sakshi here. So, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasam. Nivasam means my home. Very beautiful word. Nivasa. Nivasa, where you can be yourself. Bhagavan is the home of all. Even the wrongdoer, even the frustrated person, even the unforgiving person, even the guilty person, even the hurt person, even the person who feels I don't belong here. Bhagavan is the home for everyone. The resentful person, the cranky person, everybody belongs. And so, Nivasam, Sharanam, Sharanam, the ultimate refuge. It's like the Supreme Court. After that, you can't go anywhere else. Here also, you can try the local refuges, people in your life, etc., etc. Everybody can disappoint, but Bhagavan is the ultimate refuge. Bhagavan does not disappoint. Why? Because Bhagavan doesn't have an agenda. Disappointment happens because of my and the other person's agenda. Here Bhagavan has no agenda, so no disappointment can take place. Sharanam. And then Suhrit. Hrit, heart. Suhrit, the good-hearted one. Usually also used, the word is also used as friend. But what kind of friend? We have many words for friend. Sakha. And then somebody who's your equal. Mitram. These are all people who are your equal. Mitram means you scratch their back, and then when you need it, they scratch your back. There is some kind of give and take. There is expectations of how each one is going to behave in the other person's life, what each one is going to mean. All this is there. But a Suhrit is best translated as a well-wisher who just does what is needing to be done. Somebody needs something, and it is supplied incognito sometimes without even having to advertise. Oh, remember you were cold the other day and I gave you a jacket. That winter has come and gone. 10 winters later, this person remembers and keeps reminding also. Not like that. The Suhrit is just something who silently does, not because they know you, they may not even know who you are. They are just a general well-wisher. They just want your best interest, and what are they going to do? They are going to just be there for you. And whatever helping hand they can lend, they will lend. So Bhagavan is now Sukhrit, your BFF. And then Sukhrit Prabhavaha. Prabhavaha means the origin of everything. Pralayaha, the resolver of everything, the originator of everything, the resolver of everything. And Prabhavaha, Pralayaha, Sthanam, the maintainer of everything. Nidhanam, in which the whole Jagat is situated. Bijam, the cause. Avyayam, Avyayam means without any, that which is not subject to change. And then Tapami Aham, I am the sun, that in the form of the sun I bake the universe. And then Aham Varsham, I am the rain. And I know when to come as rain, I know when to come as sun. Nigrinhami, I collect the waters from the oceans as rain. And then Utsrijami, I release them back to the land to nurture the land. I am the heat, I am the rain. And then what else? Amritam chaiva mrityuscha, I am both immortality and mortality. I am in the form of Yama, and for what? For all the bodies, minds, senses, etc., everything that comes to an end, I am that. And then the only thing that doesn't come to an end, what is that? Atma. I am the Atma. Sad asad cha, I am that which has form. Asad, I am that which doesn't have form, like Vayu, etc. Everything I am. So in these 4 verses, we have a glimpse of Ekatvena, this Bhagavan in the form of everything in the universe, non-separate from the universe. And then to know this Bhagavan, we have to take to a life of Jnana Yajna, that is also told, and then and then only the redemption from samsara will come. Now, yet another group of people are going to be talked about in the next verses. And who are they? They have lot of Shraddha for the Veda. Which part of the Veda? First portion of the Veda. They have lot of Shraddha. And then what do they want? To go to heaven and some other wonderful things they want in samsara. Or mostly they want to go to heaven. So what happens to them? Who are they? Which kind of people are they? And what is their lot? We will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.